I've been following this fascinating thing for many years. I invest in cryptocurrencies, I play with them, I've lost money, I've made money, and I'm here just to tell you something more about it, and hopefully we can all learn a little bit about it. So Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency, so it's got to do with money, without a central bank. Sounds like a good idea. Or central administration, so it's totally federated. That can be sent from user to user on a peer-to-peer, i.e. you to me, no third parties involved, network, without the need for intermediaries. That sounds like a helpful and useful thing. So where did it come from? And when was it born? There's a story, an infamous man called Satoshi Nakamoto, and in 2009 he was the inventor of Bitcoin. It's very, very difficult calculations, very expensive calculations, and by expensive I mean your computer would grind for days and days and days to resolve to do the calculation, and that would make it hard. Therefore, it would be hard to earn the currency, and that would create its kind of intrinsic value. So a very clever idea. And he issued, for some obscure reason, he issued 21 million of these bitcoins, and they were sort of blank records. And he set down the formula, the algorithms, and said, go forth. And a few sort of hackers and interested people came along and started writing ways to mine, I'll talk about that in a moment as well, how to mine these cryptocurrency coins off this blockchain. Suddenly it got really interesting. I think maybe people were disgruntled with the banks, or disgruntled with normal economy, or disgruntled with their investments that they have on the stock exchange or wherever else, but they started experimenting. And the interesting thing about this sort of thing, as you know, the more it becomes interesting, the more it becomes interesting. And the more people are talking about it, the more people start talking about it. And so it created this kind of frenzy, which I'm sure you heard about 2 years ago. You couldn't go to a dinner party or a braai or something without somebody talking about, have you heard about Bitcoin, and so has made a fortune. Yeah, you probably heard those stories. But no one's talking about it anymore because they've probably lost a fortune. Right now, today, there's 17.9 million Bitcoins in circulation. So of the 21 million that Satoshi sort of created on the blockchain, there's 17 million of them already being sort of stamped out. And the price is now $10,000. So if you bought a Bitcoin in 2011 for $1, you now have $10,000. It's a significant thing. It was worth many hundreds of $billion more 2 years ago at the peak of it, but it's a substantial financial metric. The rand tracked the gold price. As the gold price moved up and down, the rand value moved up and down. And this was the case all over the world for a long time. And slowly but surely, one currency after another, i.e. one country after another, decided this is not really ideal, because you want to sort of decouple the money that we can issue from this tangible thing, which we have no control over, because they wanted to print more money, issue more money. So fiat money has no link to a commodity. And just about every currency in circulation today has no link with gold or with some other. And that's really what fiat means. It means let there be. So let there be rands and let there be dollars. It's as worthless as the paper. Back to my bank story of just now. If you went to the bank and said, please, dear Standard Bank, can I have R1 million, please, they'll look to see if you are good for them. Take R1 million from somewhere else that they've got and issue, transfer it into your account. They just type the numbers in and they give you $1 million. They just issue you R1 million. Weird, isn't it? That's what happens today. And then you pay it back. So they didn't have the money, right? They imaginarily go and create some money and give it to you, and then they ask, please pay it back. At a cost. At a cost. At an interest rate, right. They issue it, and then they ask us to pay it back. Boom, they didn't have it in the first place. Fiat money is where it's not linked to something like gold, a commodity of some kind, and Bitcoin, and any of these kinds of things is similar. It's not linked to anything in particular. Gold, for example, gold is a store of value. You can buy a Krugerrand, you can hide it under the mattress, and sometime in the future you can go and sell this thing. The value is stored in the thing. And so money also has that kind of weird thing, that sort of couple of digits in your bank account as a store of value, but there you go, it's odd as it is. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are both methods of exchange and stores of value. There are things you can invest in, and you've all heard of commodities, so that's the golds and the platinums and so on. Those are the kinds of things that you can invest in. So you can buy some of those. Literally nobody delivers you the gold unless it's a Kruger Rand. It's no different. So on the one hand, think about cryptocurrencies like a method of exchange, and on the other hand, you can think about it as a store of value. So I'm going to go buy some of these things, and I'm going to keep them, and once you own a Bitcoin, you will own a Bitcoin. It doesn't deteriorate. You don't sort of have one Bitcoin, and then you look a year later, and then you've only got half a Bitcoin. You'll have one Bitcoin forever. And if that Bitcoin was worth $1 in 2011, and it was worth $10,000 right now, you've got, if you turn that Bitcoin back into dollars, you'd have 10,000. Income, play with it. It's exhilarating. It's much more exhilarating than watching your 3% growth in your market account. Mind. At the bottom, have all your safe stuff, your long-term investments, your steady things that are never going to go away. You don't mess with it at all. You keep it secure and safe. Then on top of that, you sort of put some money in the money market, and you dabble a little bit here, and the money market does this, and the stock market. Then have another level above that, but have small amounts where it goes up and down. You don't mind losing, but it's a small amount because you've got that steady base down the bottom. And then on the top, you might say, you know what, I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to invest 10,000 Rand in my child's, I don't know, hot dog stand that they're starting. That's kind of investing. 600 different cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is one of them. There's 2,600 of them. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, when you look at the stock exchange and you see how many shares there are, or you look at the number of unit trusts there are, there's 13,000 available that you can invest in. There's now 2,600 different cryptocurrencies. Again, use the same pyramid scheme. So with that little bit that you're playing with from your formal kind of investing, take a little bit out and play with it, and then create another base. Put Bitcoin at the bottom of that base. And then on the top of that, put Ethereum, which is another cryptocurrency I'll talk about in a moment. And then on top of that, put the riskier ones. There's some crazy ones that grow 30% one day and crash 20% the next day. Fluctuations every day. You'll go like, oh, I'm up 5,000 Rand today. That's amazing. Oh, I'm down 3,000 Rand tomorrow, but I'm still up 2,000 Rand. And it'll go like that every day. And if you like that kind of excitement, this is where you'll be lured in. It'll be fascinating. You'll be on your phone, refreshing the price on a daily basis. It's very, very interesting and fascinating to watch. That smart guy, Satoshi, he created a blockchain. Here's the definition. There's a continuously growing list of records. Think about a ledger or blocks. The technology of blockchain is one of the most phenomenal things that's happened in the last 10 years in computing. One of them. You've got artificial intelligence and machine learning and all these cool things going on now, but the blockchain is phenomenal. It's in fact a lot less riskier than the money sitting in a privately owned bank. And in America, for example, there's a lot of smaller banks who open up and close up shop regularly, and there's a risk there. With something like the blockchain, once your record is on the blockchain, it's there forever. It can't ever be modified, it can't ever be erased, and it's there forever. And he's a very smart guy. I know his father, and he looked at Bitcoin, at the protocol of Bitcoin, and he thought, it's very smart in that it does all these things, but it's not smart enough. He wanted to have something that you could use as a way of storing contracts. Now imagine you've got this ledger, and imagine it was used for all sorts of things, to setting up contracts like IOUs and medical records and I don't know, all kinds of things, contracting two parties. And so he took the blockchain from Bitcoin and he forked it, as it's called. He created a branch of this thing and he created a new one called Ethereum. And from Ethereum, the other 2,600 odd cryptocurrencies were born. And so Ethereum is used in, as I say, in the medical industry now, where you can buy and sell shares. The cryptocurrency platforms also have exchanges. There's dozens of them all over the show. There's one main one in South Africa called Luno, which is the biggest exchange in South Africa that you can buy on, is owned by Naspers. If you want to buy some Bitcoin, or a fragment of a Bitcoin, you have to buy it from someone who's decided to sell it. And the original people who sold it were the people who were mining it. Records are sitting on the ledger, on this blockchain, and at some point you might decide, actually, I don't want it there anymore, I want to keep it safe. And so you can download those records into what's called a wallet. And a lot of people are quite paranoid, and so they download their cryptocurrency tokens onto their hard drive, and they feel it's quite safe there. Actually, it's probably also quite risky there because your laptop can get stolen. Satoshi made the way that you generate these records very, very difficult to compute. So if you got a computer and you downloaded the software to mine Bitcoin, to calculate these blocks, and you said go, and you switched your computer on, it would take weeks and weeks before your computers created a single Bitcoin. Maybe months. Because they're not powerful enough. They're just not powerful enough. So, and it's getting harder and harder and harder because of computing. I won't get into it, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to mine a single Bitcoin. And thus more expensive because you need more computing power. Litecoin and Dash and Ripple and Monero. As I said, there's 2,600 of different cryptocurrencies out there. All of these came along because they felt they could do something better or different. And so the purpose of that coin does another thing. And some of these coins are really obscure, some of them are only there just to make some money, and some of this ability for banks to talk to each other doesn't really exist globally, oddly enough. And Ripple, this particular one, is basically the kind of global standard of how banks would be able to transact with each other. And the advantage of that, no one owns the technology. It's kind of, it's liberated, it's federated. You can go to an exchange and you can take out some rand, and with those rands buy some Bitcoin, and now you own the Bitcoin. It's like you just bought dollars. See it in exactly the same way. And then you hold those Bitcoin for as long as you like, and you can decide to sell them at any point, assuming there's someone else who wants to buy them. So that's a transaction. And one of the things about those transactions is that there must be a transaction fee, because who's going to handle the transaction for you? Well, the network, the Bitcoin or the blockchain network, has to handle it. And so someone has to kind of handle that transaction. So there's a tiny, tiny little fee. It's about 15 rand depending on the value. But basically you can go to CoinMarketCap any day, any time, and you can see all of the cryptocurrencies. You can see, oh, there's another one since it's 2,658 cryptocurrencies now. You can see the top one is Bitcoin, 182,000 billion in market capitalization. This is the current price. And you can see how many in circulation and what the changes in the last 24 hours. So this is July 2013, January 14, 15, 16, 17. See, pretty much flat. The dollar price was $240, $240, $300, $400, and then in late 2017, it just started going completely crazy, and it peaked in South Africa. It peaked at about 300,000 rand. That was the peak price of Bitcoin, and then it died a terrible death. And then, as you can see right now, look what's happening. It could crash, and I know it can crash, but I'm playing with the top a little bit, right? Trust no one. I know people who have lost money on the stock exchange, and I know people who've lost money in cryptocurrencies. Just be really, really careful. If you follow those things, it's as safe as your money sitting in Standard Bank. Is it a Ponzi scheme? Is it a pyramid scheme? No, it's not.